Hey guys, be sure to check out our latest and your new favorite wrestling podcast. Link will be in the description. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Big Dave. This is Wrestling Montage Media. Thank you for joining me for another video. We are going to react to this video called WWE WrestleMania 41 in panic mode. They're in panic mode. We're finna react to about WrestleMania. The link will be in the description for the original video. Let's get into it.
WrestleMania is the biggest show of the calendar year. WWE should be firing on all cylinders heading into the show. Even when WWE wasn't doing well from a financial and creative perspective, WrestleMania was still a show that Vince McMahon knew he had to deliver a compelling and creative build for. Additionally, it was a time of year that casual fans watched Raw and SmackDown, as they knew in the back of their minds that WrestleMania was on the horizon. In 2025, the WWE product is doing extremely well from a financial perspective.
Everybody always says that they are doing very well from a financial perspective, but really all of us as fans really care about is from story perspective. What's going to keep us watching? What's the stories that's leading to different things to keep us interested?
However, an array of poorly received shows, booking calls, and a truly alarming pricing.
Man, those prices are astronomical, y'all. Me and my wife wanted to go to this year's WrestleMania. We went to WrestleMania 39, and for both nights, for each of us, it was about $600 for some fairly decent seats. We could see everything, but man, this year, I believe this is for the 2-day combo. I ended up buying our tickets individually, like us for one night and for 2 nights. You know, each of us was about $300. But this is the combo pack. I think this is included hotel and everything. That's what I'm assuming, but. Yeah, if that's just for the seats, that is ridiculous.
Model has left WWE in a problematic position. As it stands right now, WrestleMania could be one of the lowest attended WrestleMania events of the past 2 decades.
And I really wanted to go to this year's WrestleMania because I went to Vegas. I'll say back in, I think 2022, me and my wife went, and I didn't know the next time I would come to Vegas. We were planning on going to Vegas at some point, but you know, I was figured like, you know, we heard about WrestleMania going to Vegas last year. I'm like, yeah, let's go to Mania. This would be an opportunity to go and, you know, bring some friends maybe. But I'm glad we didn't plan on going to this one because it's just the interest has compared to last year, it's not all that great. And the card is a bunch of multi-man matches. The build has been very lackluster. At best, there's been some interesting things happening here and there. This has been the longest I've ever seen a WrestleMania build. Since the Chamber. That had to be about 6 to 8 weeks ago. WrestleMania, this is the first time I know of WrestleMania being in the middle of April. Normally in the beginning of April, you know, late March, but this year it's like right here on Easter Sunday.
WrestleMania events of the past 2 decades. But why has this occurred? Is it as simple as tickets being too expensive, or does it go beyond dollars and cents? Pre-Mania hype ensues. A WrestleMania season traditionally starts with the Royal Rumble in January. However, this year, due to WWE Raw launching on Netflix, January was a truly stacked month, and this likely influenced WWE moving the annual event to February 1st. And with that being said, the date didn't truly matter, as after the show was over, fan excitement for WrestleMania had completely disintegrated. In relation to the Women's Rumble, Triple H opted to go with Charlotte Flair as the winner. This was a safe choice, yet Flair's win wasn't going to lead to the most exciting story arc.
Yeah, a lot of people wasn't happy about that.
Heading into WrestleMania, the fans
and Jay as well
in the arena were lukewarm to the win. However, the reaction online was less than stellar.
Yeah.
Fans on social media labeled the choice as uninspiring, and fans called out Triple H for putting zero effort into a compelling story for the winner of the matchup. The reaction on YouTube should have acted as a wake-up.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Look at the difference. Let me move me so I can see. Oh my God. And y'all know that they hide the dislikes on YouTube. I think these are YouTube numbers right here. Man. Wow. What a ratio.
Call for WWE as the dislikes were out of control, and it was evident that the fans were unhappy. When it came to the Men's Rumble, the Jey Uso win told 2 stories. In the arena, fans loved the idea of main event Jey winning the matchup. However, the reaction online was one of anger and borderline disgust.
Yeah.
Fans were legitimately seething that Jey had just won the match, and there was a strong consensus that the win should have gone to CM Punk or John Cena. Fans had a lot of questions surrounding the win. Why Jay? Jay had just wrestled for the world title at a major event a week prior, and now he was getting another shot? It was an unusual approach to say the very least.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was even reported that Jay's big win had been planned for some time, which showed just how much faith the game was putting into Jay to sell WrestleMania. Unfortunately, whilst both Charlotte Flair and Jey Uso are incredibly gifted performers, they've never been established as mega draws in their own right, and this was seen with the WrestleMania ticket sales.
Well, I can understand Triple H going with Mr. Yeet. Mr. Yeet. I can see why he went with him. He's over as far as his entrance. People love him and his merchandise potential. And I don't know if he's number one, but I'm sure he sells a lot of it. And it's very colorful, catchy. It catches your eye. Just because Jay won doesn't mean that he's the guy. I mean, you normally have people who win the Royal Rumble who is the next guy. I could see Jay winning at WrestleMania, but that don't mean he's like the next guy. You know what I mean?
According to popular site WrestleTix, in the week following the two respective Rumble win,
like they're not gonna put Jey Uso in the light of a Cody Rhodes as like the main person. Nobody goes on the talk shows who win the World Heavyweight Championship. You know what I mean? They do more so interviews within the industry. The WWE champion, they go on the morning shows and the late night shows, stuff like that.
WWE shifted 260 and 390 tickets for each respective night. That's it. This should have been incredibly alarming for WWE, as the Rumble should act as a catalyst for a huge boost in ticket sales, but this didn't happen. Was this strictly down to WWE's pricing model, or did the negative reception to the two Rumble winners lead to fans having zero interest in purchasing a ticket to the biggest show of the year? The heel turn.
Maybe.
Now it was reported that Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the WWE title was planned for WrestleMania back in January. However, nobody expected Cena to turn heel. Cena turning heel was truly the most shocking booking move in recent memory, and a lot of fans saw WWE hitting the panic button and trying to deliver something unexpected on the road to WrestleMania. It was reported in the aftermath of the turn that initially Rhodes was going to be the one to turn and sell his soul to The Rock. This would have been a total disaster, as Rhodes is the face of the company, and WWE may have walked into a situation similar to the Stone Cold heel turn back in 2001.
I'm glad they didn't go with Cody to do it. It wouldn't have came off the same. But with this being Cena's last year, it had to be him. Cody, he's going to be around for a couple more years. This is Cena's last rodeo, so we've always talked about and wondered what it would look like for him to be heel, and we're getting to experience that. And just the build between him and Cody have been, as far as whenever they would meet and be in the ring with each other, just absolutely great television. Love the promos back and forth when they finally had their last back and forth when they were in London. But as you know, this whole build between Cody and Cena has been built around Cena's movie schedule. He wasn't on SmackDown this past week in Seattle. He was on the last two shows when they were overseas. Cena is filming overseas, and then that's what really has killed the build, is that Cena really hasn't been there, and we haven't seen The Rock or Travis Scott. It's just been like, what is going on? The follow-up to this whole thing has been very poor. I guess WWE is doing the best they can with what they have and all they can. I'm sure they are. They're giving, but it's just like we're not seeing the creative effort. We're working around Cena, who may end up with. Cena might be the WWE champion again when this is all said and done.
Another reported pitch was for Cena to turn heel at WrestleMania. This would have worked extremely well, yet the heel turn was moved to Elimination Chamber, no doubt to generate some buzz and excitement for the show. This appears to be factually correct, as even the game would make a passing comment on how it now feels like they're on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, he said that at the time after the Chamber, but it ain't felt like that since.
And the heel turn was perhaps the one thing WWE needed to take things to the next level. Ticket sales following the turn and subsequent match announcements were gradual, yet it still didn't see a mass surge of fans rushing to buy tickets, and this led to a lot of fans questioning if WWE would look to reduce the price of tickets in order to make sure that the event was well attended. A slow build. The first 5 weeks of the build to WrestleMania received significant criticism from fans. Hardly any of the angles managed to hit a home run on television, and it didn't seem like WWE were taking the WrestleMania build,
especially that one,
seriously. Whilst other WrestleManias, such as 17 and 31, both delivered less than...
Oh man, don't take me back to my favorite WrestleMania 17. When you start to listen to the internet and figure out that, that's everybody's favorite. No, it's not a bandwagon thing for me. I legitimately absolutely love. My favorite WrestleMania is 17. Always been, always will be.
Stellar builds, yet ultimately delivered a classic show. There's no reason WWE shouldn't want to deliver both. A compelling and exciting build makes fans know that TV every single week is going to be a must-see event. And of course, making each respective WrestleMania rivalry as engaging as possible will make more people attend the show. It's a basic formula that WWE often drops the ball on. A lot of the feuds during the first 5 weeks felt lifeless, and it was only until recently in which WWE hit that big red panic button.
Yep.
And remember that WrestleMania was less than 2 weeks away. In relation to Rhodes vs Cena, Cena's first few promos were solid, yet as weeks went on, they became repetitive. Cena's lack of explanation for siding with The Rock was frustrating as a viewer, and fans called out Cena's reasoning for turning heel for having a ton of plot holes. Thankfully, an epic promo segment between Rhodes and Cena in London saved the build. Now the
it saved it, but it's still, like he just said, it's still a bunch of plot holes. The only thing since Cena turned that we've heard about The Rock is Cody mentioned his name finally in their last promo battle when he was like, well, I wasn't the one who sold my soul to The Rock. Oh, and that was it. There's nothing else mentioning him that brings him back into this whole thing. It's been really irritating and frustrating to follow along with the story of this whole thing. With people were put in places that they are not utilized.
match finally feels like a WrestleMania main event. The other main event set for night 2 is CM Punk vs Roman Reigns vs Seth Rollins. The feud has one of the most unusual builds to a WrestleMania main event ever. For the first few weeks, one of the names involved would come to the ring and tell the audience that the other names involved in the feud aren't even on the show. This led to extensive booing, and names such as Punk and Paul Heyman struggled with how to handle this rejection. Why WWE haven't made it their quest to ensure that all three men are on at least one show a week is anyone's guess. The feud itself lacks any genuine heat, and it feels like it's relying on star power to sell the match.
Basically,
the Heyman angle is fine, yet it feels like the match is acting as a baseline for Chapter 1 in the Punk vs Reigns rivalry. The world title match for the show, that being Gunther vs Jey Uso,
let me go back. The build for this, they rely so much on this stupid favor thing. It really irritates the hell out of me. But when I found out what it was and then the story behind it, it was a cool reveal because they called back to a Raw that they did years ago. Paul Heyman was like, hey, if you ever in a WrestleMania main event, I'm going to be by your side. With him being with one guy and then being with the other in the same match, that makes for an interesting story and an interesting match. People are saying that Paul may be joining Seth Rollins. Maybe it's a possibility. I don't know. We need some more story. We definitely need some more shocking things to happen. Things that's really going to change the feel and the vibe of WrestleMania. Make it feel like WrestleMania, because right now it really doesn't.
Baseline for Chapter 1 in the Punk vs Reigns rivalry. The world title match for the show, that being Gunther vs Jey Uso, struggled to get the fans on board early on. WWE had done the feud numerous times over the past 12 months, so there wasn't a lot of new ground to cover. The segments during the first few weeks felt monotonous, and WWE had to put some effort to make the fans actually care. Thankfully, this is the feud that has turned the WrestleMania build around. WWE have capitalized on the love for Usos as a tag team, and including Jimmy Uso as an emotional plot point to the story worked wonders.
Yeah, me and my guys on the podcast mentioned that Jimmy needed to get involved somehow. Jimmy being involved in this story really did save it, 100%. They had to involve the family and the bloodline, even though when Drew in the beginning, I would say more so in the beginning of the year, how he was saying he was targeting every member of the bloodline, they moved away from that, and then all of a sudden he in this feud with Priest. Is Drew going to get back at the bloodline? Is he still mad and upset with them?
On the Raw from London, Gunther would annihilate Jimmy, so much so that Jimmy bled all over the ring. The angle had genuine emotion, genuine heat, and received widespread love and appreciation.
Yeah, that was a hell of a
This was arguably one of the only angles the entire WrestleMania season that felt like WWE were really trying to sell a match.
That Gunther, man.
It was perfect in every way, and if only WWE had put this much effort into every story, they may not be struggling to shift tickets.
Right.
Elsewhere, the builds have been incredibly flat.
Ooh. So bad. So bad.
The Tiffany Stratton vs Charlotte Flair rivalry has been tarnished by both women going off script, and it's been made clear that both women aren't meeting eye to eye backstage. Whilst this real life heat could result in magic, it's resulted in lame segments where both women look uncomfortable. The other women's title match has 3 great names with Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. However,
Their
WWE...
feud, this This whole thing was so annoying too. Io Sky is in the middle. Rhea and Bianca are trying to make and belittle Io. A few weeks together, they just kept pushing her out the way, and they were arguing, going at each other. That's not a good story though, to have Io get mad at them because they're not taking her seriously. It's just to keep doing the same thing, pushing her out the way. And it was just dumb, man.
Waited until the last moment to even announce that Ripley.
Yeah, and these matches are taking too damn long to be confirmed. Like, why are we waiting 2-3 weeks till Mania and we don't have any idea of what the women's championship match, even though it's obvious it's gonna be a triple threat match. Drew and Priest, like, they just did that last week. Like, it's been annoying, bro.
Would be involved, which could have been a factor in the match not receiving the night 1 main event slot. Now the undercard has some solid additions. Both Naomi versus Jade Cargill and Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest have done a great job in utilizing their minutes on television, and hopefully they are able to deliver great matches on the grand stage. WWE have also recently added Bron Breakker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio, a fatal 4-way match for the Intercontinental Championship,
that match
as well
should
as
be
Rey
fun.
Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. Sadly, we won't be seeing Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, as Owens recently announced that he's suffering an injury. However, there are still a few matches that could be added to the final card, and as long as the show doesn't turn into multi-man mania, the show should be concise and focused, on paper at least. Where we stand. So has WWE hitting the panic button positively influenced ticket sales? Well, as things stand, WWE has sold almost 49,000 tickets for night 1 and 51,000 tickets for night 2. There's evidently more interest in night 2, but this is usually the case. WWE have thousands of tickets left to move, and unless WWE drastically drops the prices of these tickets, WrestleMania 41 is set to have a ton of empty seats. This is all WWE's fault. A weak build combined with their utmost greed to promote the highest gate ever has been their complete downfall. Yeah. Hopefully WrestleMania 41 acts as a huge lesson to WWE and TKO. If you're going to charge an enormous amount of money for tickets to a wrestling show, you've got to deliver a build and a match card that warrants such a significant price tag. But there you have it, folks. How
the build, the price tag has to be worth the build. It has to be worth you actually spending thousands of dollars to go to this show and to see these matches, because the story depends on it. The story depends on it. You can't just have Cena turning heel be the main thing. I mean, it was definitely a big thing, but you can't ride on that, and you can't ride on the fact that it's WrestleMania, that it's just gonna sell out, that everybody just want to go. Because I did want to go, but just not going this year. Just not interested. Maybe next year. So that's the end of the video, guys. If you stayed this long, appreciate you for stopping by, checking me out. See you on the next one.